This is Master Within, and you're watching the Master Within online show. Please wait while we begin the session in a few more minutes. Till then, sit back and relax. Thank you. Jai Guru, and salutation to my Supreme Beloved and Master, and good evening to all of you. I'm Bibaswan Chakraborty from Team Master Within, and I welcome you to the Master Within live show of 18 July 2021. I hope you all are doing good. So, as usual and as of every time, we are here again with a very interesting topic for you to discuss today, which is pandemic prevention from a people-centric perspective. So without making any further delays, I request you and I urge to please share this video, hit the like button, and without making any further delays, let us begin. And right now, I would be introducing our very beloved Dada, Satyabit Srikumar today. Jai Guru, brother.
Jai Guru, brother.
How are you?
Pranam at the feet of... First of all, pranam at the feet of my master, Sri Thakur, and then I'll take your question.
Okay. So how are things at your end?
Things are good. I'm really delighted to be back. Congratulations to Master Within, specifically you, Orkodidda, Shovigda, all of you did a wonderful job to have us back again. And it really feels good to be back and to share this stage with you again.
Thank you. It's all the grace of our Master that we are back again, and we are very excited today to discuss the topic. We are still waiting for our very special brother Shovik host to join. So until he has joined, I think we are good to start with our today's discussion, which is pandemic prevention and management, people-centric perspective. So basically, in this discussion, this is a very interesting and very trending topic, to be very frank and honest, which is the need of an hour to discuss about this. And here today, we would be discussing about what this pandemic is and how to actually deal with this and the management and prevention of such a pandemic from the people-centered perspective through the vision of our Master. So, as we all know that we have been facing this deadly virus, and it's been a year and a half, more than a year, and we have been seeing not only our city, not only our family, nation, the entire world, things have changed from here and there. It's like things have gone left to right, life to right, everything has completely changed. That's the power of a small virus that has created this global pandemic. It's a very difficult situation for all of us, which is letting us face difficult times. And in these difficult times, in these difficult scenarios, all we can do is to try to prevent this and try to deal with this and stay safe. It's very important that we don't get infected and we all take the necessary precautions and measures in order to be safe from this deadly virus. So what is pandemic management or pandemic prevention, and what our master has to say in this is that is what we will be discussing. And we have our brother Shovik Ghosh today. Jai Guru Shovik, good evening. I think you're on mute.
Yes, yes. Jai Guru, Pranam. Please
Yes.
continue.
Jai Guru.
For late coming.
Yes, no problem. So, yes, so as I was saying that we would be discussing about pandemic prevention management. So let us first, we all know, still let's discuss about what is a pandemic and how did this all happen. So we know that a virus was there, found out, and that started to spread, and people got infected with that. And due to that, infection was so fast that the complete world faced a global lockdown, and everyone started to got everyone is getting infected in that, and everything all around the globe is changing just in order to be safe and take necessary precautions and measures. So what are the things that we need to take care in mind, and what are the measures that we need to actually take, or what from a people centric perspective is pandemic management all about? So to start the discussion, I would actually, request Satyabrat to speak a few words, and then Shovik, and then we can actually make it an interactive session and discussion as we have already done. So, yes, Dada, please.
Thank you, Rohan Bhai, Jai Guru Shovik, brother. And a very good evening to all our viewers, online viewers on YouTube and Facebook. Now, at the outset, when pandemic management and prevention comes to my mind, I would like to quote George Santayana. He's a philosopher, a Spanish philosopher, and he gave a quote. He said, "Those who do not remember the past are condemned to repeat it." Let me repeat: those who do not remember the past are condemned to repeat it. When we have a pandemic situation as this, we are not new to this. We have had already faced it. And in recent history, say for example, 1720, the Spanish, the plague that hit France, the bubonic plague, in which you had rat fleas and infection that spread across France and killed more than 1 million people. And then you had in 1820 cholera, which was in West Bengal specifically. Cholera again, spread through the through food and water. In 1920, you had the Spanish flu, and 2020 it's Corona. So this has been reoccurring every 100 years. What comes to my mind is if we look at each of these pandemics, you have people who are responsible for spreading this pandemic. You have at one point a person zero, the person who first contracts an infection, and that person comes in contact with other people, and through people to people contact, through people to people contact, and of course, your personal hygiene, the hygiene of society, of course, creates a big factor. We see that this pandemic spreads. But what we witness is after the spread of pandemic, we try to restrict people to people contact, like we have, lockdown, quarantine everywhere worldwide. What we witness is an astonishing breakdown of socio-economic factors or fragments that make up a society. Now, this is not something which has happened now. It has been keeping on happening, which implies that perhaps there is some significant deficiency within the socio-economic fragments that make up a society. And I would like to discuss on this, because now when we are talking about pandemic management and prevention, we are going to talk about schemes or maybe techniques which can prevent certain pandemics to happen in the future. Also, now there are three factors which play a very important role here. You have individual as a society, you have an individual, a group of individuals form a family, and a group of families form a society. Now we need to discuss on these three aspects. One, individual. When we talk about individual, we need to discuss individual hygiene. Now, when we talk about hygiene, hygiene has been somehow been attributed always to your personal hygiene, your physical hygiene. But my master spoke about hygiene in terms of sadachar. The Sanskrit word sadachar is can be broken down into two things. One is sad, the other is achar. When we talk about sad, sad is sat or astitva, its existence, and achar is what you do. So sadachar, I was very astonished. I was thinking the other day that Shish Thakur had spoken about sadachar as one of the basic tenets of the five tenets he gave. Jajan jajan ishtavriti swastani sadachar. Sadachar is anything that upholds existence. And when we talk uphold existence, we are talking what we are talking basically is of dharma. So Thakur gave a broader term, sadachar, and in sadachar he spoke about the physical sadachar, which we term as hygiene in the real world, and there is mansik sadachar or mental sadachar, mental hygiene, and then there is adhyatmik sadachar. Before I highlight on all these different aspects, I would also like to ask Shaufik to join the discussion and take it forward and see what views he has to share with us, and then we'll discuss all these things separately. Shaufik.
Yes, Dada, it was a great thing that I've learned from Satyabrata. Thank you for sharing with us. I hope I'm audible.
Very clear.
Yeah, you're audible.
Thank you. So, about pandemic, if we search this term pandemic in the dictionary, then the thing that we'll understand is that pandemic is that epidemic that is shared across multiple continents. When one disease is shared across multiple continents, excuse me, what is that?
Yes.
Something is happening, I think.
It's
Okay,
all. It's nothing. Yeah.
okay. So when this disease is spread across multiple countries, no continents, then that thing is called pandemic, or it is panned around. So there have been many diseases outbreak throughout the history. If we look at the world, but how can this time, this corona or COVID-19, how this disease has spread such at such a fast rate throughout the world, and how it has managed to create so many casualties? So this is not a webinar or a live session for biochemists, or we are not the specialist in that field. What we want to shed light upon is what we can learn from that, and how it is so much connected to our own nature, and it is beyond the physical aspects that we think about so ardently. In the past, we had Dada, can you please mute your mics? Or I think some noise is coming on.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. So in the past, we have seen, with time, we are seeing more and more effects of globalization. People from one part of the country are now very easily connected to the other part of the world. For this reason, since it is a good thing that we can see that more people are connected with each other, the mobilization is so easy nowadays, but it has its side effects. We can see at the beginning of the outbreak, when people were going so easily with and going inside and outside of Italy from China, and the scientists from all other places were raising concerns, but they were not so much interested because their mind was deep delved into the economics, the broader economics. But what happened when they were concerned about economics, they forget about this portion of the life where they had to worry about creating boundaries that can keep themselves safe. I think similar things, similar tough choices also happen in our lives. We also had certain moments of our life when we have to take certain decisions that have to make economical choices that have to make some choices that are against our habits, that have to change or shape our habits, but we don't do. And that for that reason, we have to learn things in a harder way. And that harder way is something that we are learning from this pandemic. So before anything, before any lecture or any kind of knowledge that we want to share from our part, I think there is something that we should look at ourselves and realize that where we missed. Was this pandemic something so new, or is it something that we suddenly came in front of us? You can check a video by Bill Gates, a TED talk given by Bill Gates, where he was openly saying about a huge pandemic, a viral outbreak that is going to come around 2020 or 2019. And he said that it was by following the graphs. And the other scientists were also aware of that. But why did not they look into that? If you take into the take the account of the negative side effects of washing and cutting trees of Amazon rainforests, so many scientists and so many reports are there that the cause that kind of deforestation and that kind of thing, that is it is going to cause tremendous bad effects in the future. But still the capitalist mindset of the people, what happens is that for thinking about this present day, they are forgetting about what is coming. And the thing that we are facing at the moment here, it is also something of which we have sown the seeds of in the past. We are not thinking, we are not using a long-term strategy. We are only busy to fulfill the sensual pleasures of the present. So I think with this, I would like to use it as a segue and proceed to my dear Rohunda in this one takeaway. That one takeaway is we should take concern about the long-term effects and some long-term strategies regarding everything, regarding our lives, regarding our studies, regarding the world, economy, politics, and everything. Because short-term things are only for pleasure. But if we think about the well-being as a whole, then we have to make tough choices. Tough choices that like Rohunda is doing about doing gym and exercise. What is there? He's facing a lot of trouble. He's taking a lot of weight for his muscle. But in the long term, it will give him good results. Similarly, our socio-economics must have must take some kind of measures so that in the future we'll get good results and save ourselves from the pandemic and so on.
Okay. Okay, well, Shovik, thank you so much. And thank you for, again, talking about the gym thing, which was not needed, but okay. So basically, as you already said, that let us discuss about some points which we should think in the long run. So, I would also like to request you also, let's also talk in Hindi because let's make this session understandable by a lot of people. So थोड़ा बहुत हिंदी में भी आज हम बात करेंगे ताकि हम भी समझ पाएं and लोग भी और अच्छे से इसको एंजॉय कर सकें. So मैं एक एक्सपीरियंस अपना बताना चाहूंगा इस सब के नीचे. So अभी एक सोचते हैं हम लोग इस चीज के बारे में. जब मैं डिजाइन अपना मास्टर्स डिग्री खत्म कर रहा था, कंप्लीट कर रहा था, लास्ट सेमेस्टर में हमारा एक सब्जेक्ट था जिसका नाम था डिजाइन फॉर 2050, जिसमें हम लोग फ्यूचर के लिए चीजें डिजाइन करना सीखते हैं, हाउ टू एक्चुअली डिजाइन फॉर द फ्यूचर. उस चीज में एक बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट टर्म मैं सीखा था जिसका नाम था फोरकास्टिंग. ओके, मतलब अगर हम कुछ प्लान करना चाहते हैं, अगर हम फ्यूचर के लिए कुछ बनाना चाहते हैं, इफ वी वांट समथिंग टू प्लान फॉर द फ्यूचर एंड मेक अ रोड मैप फॉर द फ्यूचर, सबसे इंपॉर्टेंट चीज क्या है पता है क्या? मैं चाहता हूं लोगों को कमेंट सेक्शन में ये चीज बताएं कि क्या है वो चीज जो अगर हम फ्यूचर में देखना चाहते हैं कि आज से 10 साल बाद क्या होना चाहिए या परसों क्या होगा या क्या चीज पे ध्यान देना पड़ेगा हमें अगर हम फ्यूचर देखना चाहते हैं. सबसे इंपॉर्टेंट चीज होता है पास्ट पे ध्यान देना. ओके, So for forecasting, we need to see what was in the past. If we want to take design, if we want to take decisions for the future, अगर हम फ्यूचर के बारे में बात करना चाहते हैं या डिसीजन लेना चाहते हैं, तो हमें पास्ट में क्या था वो चीज देखना बहुत जरूरी है। और इस केस में सत्यव्रत भाई ने बहुत अच्छे तरीके से समझा दिया कि पास्ट में ये चीज हम डेफिनेटली देख चुके हैं। प्लेग वायरस था, देखे थे, बहुत लोगों की जान गई थी, बहुत प्रॉब्लम हुई थी हमें। ऐसे कर करके पहले भी बहुत ऐसे डेंगू जो है, डेंगू आते रहता है, उतना बड़ा पैंडेमिक क्रिएट नहीं करता है, लेकिन वो खतरा होता है। इबोला वायरस आया था, इवन दो पीपल मतलब ठीक हो गए थे लोग, उतना ज्यादा इफेक्ट नहीं किया था, लेकिन ये चीज होता हुआ आ रहा है। और कोविड ऐसा एक चीज हुआ जो क्लिक कर गया, जिसमें बोलना नहीं चाहिए बट हमारी गलतियों का बहुत बड़ा योगदान और कंट्रीब्यूशन है इस चीज में। चलिए कुछ डिस्कस करते हैं कुछ सिनेरियोज के बारे में जब हमें एक्चुअली हम प्रिवेंट कर सकते थे, बट कुछ ऐसी गलत समझ हमारे में था या हम लोगों में थी जिस चीज की वजह से हम प्रिवेंट नहीं कर पाए। ठीक है, और ये गलत चीज, ऐसी गलत चीजों का सही करने के लिए ही हमें लाइफ में कॉन्सेंट्रिक आइडियल की जरूरत है। वो एक अलग और मतलब बहुत ही स्ट्रेट अवे थिंग है, उसके बारे में डिस्कस करेंगे। तो क्या ऐसा चीज हो सकता था जिस चीज को हम लोग दिमाग में रख के फ्यूचर के लिए प्लानिंग कर सकते हैं, जो हमारे बहुत दिन पहले से हमें सिखाया जाता है। से फॉर एग्जाम्पल, अभी एक ऐसा चीज हो गया है कि लोग अगर बाहर सब्जी खरीदने जाते हैं या कुछ भी करने जाते हैं, तो डेफिनेटली आने के बाद कपड़े वो लोग बाहर टंगा के पहले उसको सैनिटाइज करते हैं और उसको कंप्लीटली धोते हैं, उसके बाद अंदर जाते हैं। एंड मैं इंटरप्ट करना चाहूंगा अर्को दा और राहुल दा को थैंक यू बोलने के लिए। बहुत एंजॉय कर रहे हैं वो लोग सेशन, और उनका ध्यान शायद किसी और की तरफ ही जा रहा है। तो लेट अस ट्राई टू फोकस ऑन व्हाट वी आर ट्राइंग टू डिस्कस। सो जैसे लोग बाहर जाते हैं, वो लोग कपड़े बदल मतलब चेंज करके ही अंदर आते हैं, एंड पीपल आर टेकिंग बाथ, सैनिटाइजेशन हो रहा है। अगर हम एक फोन का टेम्पर्ड ग्लास भी लगाते हैं तो उसको भी लोग सैनिटाइज करते हैं। सैनिटाइजर्स का बिजनेस बढ़ गया है, मास्क लोग खरीद रहे हैं। क्यों हो रहा है? बिकॉज पीपल नो दैट हाइजीन इज द फर्स्ट थिंग दैट वी नीड टू टेक केयर ऑफ। अगर हम लोग सदाचार का पालन नहीं करते हैं तब बहुत प्रॉब्लम हमें होने वाला है। जो चीज हुआ था, सदाचार क्या है? सद आचार, प्रॉपर एक्टिविटीज। ठीक है, अभी जैसे क्या हो रहा है, अगर कोविड को हमें प्रिवेंट करना है, हम लोग फोन जब करते हैं लोगों को तब हमें कहा जाता है मास्क पहनिए, अपने आप से 2 गज की दूरी में नमस्ते कीजिए, अपने हाथों को बार बार धोते रहिए। ये कुछ ऐसी बेसिक चीजें हैं जो अभी सीखने का चीज नहीं है, जो चीज हमारे देश के मतलब बहुत दिन पहले से ये सब हमें सिखाता, हम सीखते हुए आ रहे हैं बचपन से। ये हमारे कल्चर का एक बहुत बड़ा पार्ट है। तो ये चीज जब हम कहते हैं कल्चर का बहुत बड़ा पार्ट है, इस चीज पे फोकस करने से लॉन्ग टर्म में कितना डेफिनेटली ये फायदा होता है, ये चीज है सोचने वाली बात। अभी हम नमस्ते कर रहे हैं, लोगों से हाथ नहीं मिला रहे। इट्स नॉट दैट कि अगर हम लोग हैंडशेक नहीं करते हैं तो हम लोग सोशलाइज नहीं हो रहे। इट्स बिकॉज उसका एक डेफिनेटली कुछ थॉट प्रोसेस है कि क्यों नहीं करते। एक बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट इंसिडेंट लास्ट टाइम हम देखे थे इटली में, द स्पाइक ऑफ कोविड वाज इनसेन इन इटली। People were losing life like there were 1,000 deaths per day, and it was very bad. Italy, Spain. I'm not sure exactly in which country this happened, but एक country ऐसा था जिसमें हुआ था कि लोग, people were saying, I am giving you free hugs, and I am trying to spread love. Free hugs for love. So, and we all know the consequences. So we are not saying that giving hugs is bad or that is not the way to express the love, but is that the correct thing to do? Is that what love actually means? Love means बंगाली में कहते हैं भालोबाशा, जिसमें भालो तुम्हार भालोते बाश कर, आपके अच्छाई में रहना, तो अच्छाई करना पीपल का। तो यही थॉट होना चाहिए फ्यूचर के लिए, जो सौविक भाई हमें कहे कि क्या हम कर सकते हैं। कोई भी एक्शन लेने के लिए वी डेफिनेटली शुड थिंक अबाउट अ गोल। इफ वी डोंट हैव अ गोल, हम एक्शन नहीं ले सकते। तो हमारा गोल क्या है? भलाई। भलाई कैसे हो सकता है? फिलहाल इस चीज को अवॉइड करके, इस वायरस से हमें छुटकारा मिले, हम लोग अपने आप को इस वायरस से बचाएं, वो हमारा गोल होना चाहिए। उस गोल के लिए हमें क्या करना चाहिए? हमें कुछ कुछ एक्शंस लेने पड़ेंगे, प्लान करने पड़ेंगे। डेफिनेटली हमारा हमें मतलब हमारे सोसाइटी में गवर्नमेंट एंड ऑल एवरीथिंग आर ट्राइंग टू मेक अस अवेयर, बट आर वी एक्चुअली डूइंग दैट? ओके, there are a lot of minute things that happen on daily life, minute practices that happen on daily life, which is definitely not what it's defining, what we say as hygienic practices, sadachar. So things like that should be taken care of, and a lifestyle is very important, which will actually lead, which will actually benefit, and which will actually help us in getting rid of such viruses. So that was what I said about understanding the past, what happened. I would also now I would request Satyabrat da to add his points, और वो भी कुछ बताएं ताकि हम चीज को और अच्छे में कंक्लूड करें। और आज हम कोशिश करेंगे 1 घंटा के पहले ही सेशन को खत्म करने का, so that we have the audience to get some comments and Q&A kind of sessions. So Satyabrat da.
Thank you, Rohanda, and thank you, Shauvikda. It was wonderful to listen to both of you. Am I audible?
Yes, yes.
Okay. So, taking forward the discussion using both Shauvikda's and Rohanda's perspective, I was at a place where I was discussing Sadachar, and in which we were discussing about Sharirik, Mansik, and Adhyatmik, which is physical, mental, and spiritual Sadachar. Now, Rohanda spoke about, we not joining hands, and we doing, say, for example, we doing namaste when we speak, when we talk to people. But Sharirik Sadachar has a lot of different perspectives to it. And one of those
Yes.
perspectives is, when we use, say, for example, when we go to pass, say, urine, when we go for urination, we do not have this habit, or at least men urinals do not have this habit in which we can wash ourselves out. But these are areas which can lead to formation of bacteria, or can lead to, lead to a culture of bacteria. Also, we share plates with different people. When we share plates with different people, we are again, say for example, right now at least people are staying separately. People are taking these precautions of not eating the leftovers of others' food, which Rohanda used to say that when we share food, we say that it is love, but it is not love. It is a way in which we are possibly resulting in spreading infection between the people who we actually love because of our misrepresentation of what love actually is. Thirdly, when we say, for example, if I say put my finger in my nose or my mouth, I do not have this habit of washing. Our master specifically said that when you say, for example, you put your hand inside your nose or your mouth, you should go and wash it. If when you go to bathroom, or when you go to say for urination, or when you go to when you use your toilet, you should change your dress. You should inculcate habits which will not which you should not sit in other people's bed. We should not share clothes. But for example, one of my friends took my t-shirt because his t-shirt was wet. He took it and he kept it for himself. That's a different story. But sharing of clothes, sharing of beds, these are certain factors of physical sadachar that has to be taken into picture. When we talk about mental sadachar or mental hygiene, hygiene is a very short term. Sadachar is a more broader perspective. When we talk about uh, mental sadachar, we should always listen that Sushi Thakur says, our master Sushi Thakur says that mental hygiene is the fact that there are many thoughts which come to our mind. We should always ignore those thoughts which can harm the society, because you're walking on the road and hello. Hello,
Yes, yes, you're
am I
audible.
there?
Yes, you're audible. Yes, yes,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah. Well, my screen was fluctuating. That is what I have to say. So when we say, for
That's okay.
example, we walk on the road and someone comes and honks the horn behind us loudly, and we immediately say without a mind, "Arey wo mare," let him die. We immediately it comes, we react, and such sort of reactions that come within our mind is something which is detrimental to our mental hygiene or mental sadachar. In our mental space, we should always think about those things which can help not only ourselves but also help our society to grow and to progress. Also, when it comes to spiritual sarachar, I will come to spiritual sarachar a bit later. But I started the discussion by saying that when we talk about pandemic, Pandemic spreads from people to people contact, but when we stop people to people contact, what we basically witness is an astonishing socio-economic breakdown, which implies, which and it has kept on happening. We have not learned the lessons. What do we need to learn the lessons, right? What do we need to learn is there is a deficiency in the socio-economic fragment in the socio-economic structure that makes up the society. We say, for example, I am dependent on a farmer to create to produce food. I am dependent on a seller, on a vegetable seller to sell that food to me. I'm dependent on a maid to come or a cook to come to my home and cook that food. Now all these dependent factors which are there due to this pandemic, when we went to a lockdown, we figured out that all these things cannot happen. We have to become self sustainable. Socioeconomic breakdown showed us that our society is not self-sustainable. Now, when we talk about is not self-sustainable, when we talk about society, society is made up of families, which implies our family individually, families are not self-sustainable, or individuals, we as individuals are not self-sustainable. And here comes in what Sri Thakur wanted for us within our families. Sri Thakur, so here we have to talk about, you know, social reforms that can come into picture and economic reforms that can come into picture. When we talk about social reforms and economic reforms, we always have to talk about agricultural reforms and industrial reforms. Hello.
Yes, you are there. We are
Yeah,
in a solo layout.
yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So when we talk about social agricultural reforms, Thakur always wanted to, have that industrial bent of mind. Thakur always said that industry is something which results in society to progress, and because industry is something which results in society to progress, industry is not different from dharma. Industrial bent of mind is something which each of us individually have to inculcate. Thakur wanted to have in each home a research laboratory. Thakur wanted to have in each home an agricultural setup in which uh, uh, an agricultural setup in which each of us at least know how to grow a particular a plant. I myself do not know how to maybe plant tomato plants or maybe pumpkin plantation. I do not know. At least the idea to know things. This is called as inquisitiveness, cautious inquisitiveness. This is a part of this is something which has to be there within any person which has an industrial bent of mind. The second thing which has to be there is active. The second thing which has to be there is auto initiative serviceable attitude. When we talk about auto initiative serviceable, because we are talking about agricultural reforms, auto initiative serviceable attitude also has to be a character which has to be there within any human being per se. Because, say, for example, if I'm able to grow a particular plant, maybe I can make not only myself sustainable, my family sustainable, which is also called as organic farming. But a group of families can join together and can make small society self-sustainable. Rather, because we are talking about people to people contact, and and a framework in which people to people contact is prevented. Like, for example, lockdown happens and no one is able to contact any other person. So are we self-sustainable? We are not self-sustainable. What do we need to become self-sustainable? We need to have this agricultural reform within our family itself. We need to have a cottage industry. Thakur always used to say that we need to have cottage industries within our family. It was not that you sell the cottage. Maybe you can also sell. You may not also sell the cottage industry outside. But when you have all these frameworks and agricultural reform within the society, a research lab within the family, say, all the major vaccines, Pfizer, the Moderna, Pfizer, Covaxin, Covishield, all the vaccines have failed. Why has it failed? Ask ourselves. Vaccine creation is limited to only certain fragments of the society. Only few companies make vaccines. But if we have research laboratories in each and every household, what will happen is at least you will have that research bent of mind maybe one of those households may have this, maybe one person will come up with one formula, because now you are not you are not limiting vaccine creation to only a few companies. But when you are establishing research labs across each home around the world, maybe a few homes can also come up with few ideas to create vaccines. Those vaccines can be incorporated in bigger corporates, and so on. This industrial bent of mind can be brought in. Secondly, what I want to discuss about is, saying this, the एक शिल्प माथाई शिल्प करे. There is a saying of Sri Sri Thakur, शिल्प माथाई शिल्प करे, शिल्पी सब होते पारे. So having that industrial bent of mind, I spoke about agricultural reforms. We can talk about, similarly, we can talk about cottage reforms. Now also Sri Sri Thakur used to talk about economic, we have army today. Sri Sri Thakur used to talk about, my master used to talk about Swasti Sevak Bahini. स्वस्ति सेवक वाहिनी, मैं हिंदी में भी कुछ समय बोलूंगा. स्वस्ति सेवक वाहिनी क्या था? स्वस्ति सेवक वाहिनी था कि एक कमिटी में, जैसे आप लोग इजराइल में अगर देखोगे, इजराइल में every member in Israel has to serve at least 2 years in the army. Here in India, we produce engineers, we produce doctors, we produce people who read everything but sit at home and complain of complain of jobs. We do not have jobs. We always have this complaining attitude. But when we talk about what was I talking about? I was talking about sorry, I forgot. Remind me once again, Rohanda.
About you were talking about Israel, that we have to also think about the nation as a whole, as Thakur said, that we need to contribute in a lot of things, right? So you're giving example of Israel.
Yeah, Israel. So similarly, if each and every person, has this in their bent of mind that they have to do something, auto-initiated, serviceable attitude, you will be able to create industries within each and every family. Now here, because now this is something which within our society it is not there. Thakur had given a way in which we can sort of conquer our habits formed over the years, our habits of not being able to do, not being able to achieve. And Sri Thakur spoke about Pauper Reformatory School. In Pauper Reformatory Schools, you had to inculcate habits. You had to inculcate all those things which will make you, self-sustainable. Which will, when you yourself become self-sustainable, you can talk about when you yourself become self-sustainable, you can talk about making your family self-sustainable, and a group of families will make the world self-sustainable. And in this way, you can not only manage a pandemic, you can also prevent future pandemics. And also within agricultural framework, I would like to bring into this point to my discussion, that perhaps we are thinking what can be the next pandemic. I'd like to say that agriculture, food products can also bring in the next pandemic. Because now terrorism is something which is already there throughout the world. Someday some terrorist should say that maybe food product is a way in which we can spread a pandemic, and they would infect all food. If we are not self-sustainable, we will fail to save ourselves. That is why Sri Sri Thakur always spoke about having a complete family structure, and within in which each and every individual has a higher urge, or higher goal-centric perspective. And this can only happen when you have spiritual sadachar,
Yes.
or an ideal-centric life.
Yes, I think that is very, very nicely said by you about the practices of spiritual sadachar, and there is the examples that you gave actually बहुत अच्छे समझ आया, and I believe कि लोगों को comment section में भी समझ आया होगा. So once again, you are watching Master Within live show, where today we are discussing about the pandemic prevention and management from a people-centric perspective. And I don't think that you have not shared. So once again, please share this video to your loved one and your friends so that more people can join us. And let us also have some good comment section, which I want Shovik to take up. So one very interesting comment is there that my brother, I was talking about Namaste, and he has said that भारतीय संस्कृति में तो नीचे झुककर चरणों को छूकर प्रणाम करने की रीति है. तो ये कैसे आप जस्टिफाई कर सकते हैं कि हमारे कंट्री में पहले से था? Shovik, I want you to speak because you've been sitting idle since long. So please go ahead.
सबसे पहले मैं दादा को प्रणाम मैं बोलता हूँ राहुल दा को बराड़ को चक्रवर्ती. So before I come into this context and answer this question, I would like to take it a little back. Of course, should I answer in Hindi or English, Rohanda?
अरे हिंदी इंग्लिश जो भी सब चलेगा.
अच्छा, मैं हिंदी उतना अच्छा नहीं बोल सकता, बस फिर भी कोशिश करूंगा कि ये बात है कि we had this custom of touching the feet of people and pay our ovation. But if we know about this, that this procedure was changed by master, and I think it was also incorporated in many other customs if we look deeper into the Indo-Aryan style of living, where they said we had another kind of pranam that we offered. One is simply bowing down, another is obunoto mostoke noto jano hoye, that Sisi Thakur says, by sitting on the floor and paying ovation. But there are places where different type of customs are set for different kind of places. अगर हम रास्ते से जा रहे हैं तो तब जरूर हम किसी का पैर छूकर प्रणाम नहीं करेंगे. मतलब वो वैसे प्रणाम वहीं पर वैसे प्रणाम करना कॉमन सेंस में ही नहीं आता, क्योंकि हमारे पैर में बहुत सारे धूल मिट्टी हो सकते हैं, वायरस हो सकते हैं. तो अगर वहां से मैं प्रणाम किया तो वो हाथ में लग जाएगा. तो दिस इज अ लैक ऑफ कॉमन सेंस in many of us. And just for showing that kind of earnestness and devotion, if we fail to consider the basic hygienic principles that sustains our life, then what is the meaning of that kind of devotion, isn't it? What is the meaning of that kind of devotion? So, and this is the first thing. And before going deeper into this, I would just like to bring one topic in this aspect, is that not everything is democratic. Democracy is a procedure that we brought along. When it comes about survival, when it comes about being and becoming, the very essence of sustaining our life, we cannot take in consider the chances of a democracy or a democratic election. Take the vaccination, for example. During the vaccination, did we consider? I think someone called Shorizda mentioned that vaccination failed, like question mark or something. And I would like to bring that question too. It is that I don't know about failing or succeeding, but I can tell this much. It is like as much people as we can save. When the matter comes about survival, it is about as many people as we can save. There is no landmark. There is no prize for saving people. We don't get any prize for living. This experience is the prize by itself. Similarly, when we talk about vaccination, I don't think there had been any votes. Like, it is not that should we save people or should we not save people. Let us vote. Let us vote that who, the black people will get the vaccine or the white people will get the vaccine. There is no vote like that. Not everything in the nature is democratic. This is in this way. When we go to education, there is no vote among the students that whether we should select this teacher or that teacher, unless they get a basic form of education where they can judge what kind of education the teacher is providing. But at the base level, there is no voting system. There is no voting system for existence. We don't have voting system for we should live and we should die. There is no choice in that. A person who just faced an accident, he does not have a choice. People don't ask that almost dying guy, and people don't ask him that whether we will take you to hospital or not. We just autocratically take him, force him to the hospital and give him the treatment. And similar thing is for our life as well. there are some sections, because all the we were talking, Dada was talking about agricultural marketing, and there is education, there is the biodiversity, and so many things. But if we look a little bit keenly on this aspect, all these things, all these changes and reformation are done by this human, isn't it? And someone again commented that what, but you have choice, to change your educational institution. Yes, of course we have. We also have the choice to change our demographics. Just take a moment, just 2 to 3 years back, did we have a choice to stop all the aeroplane services? We had a choice, but could we? Was that a practical solution when when people in the Italy were dying? Did we have a choice when many scientists and people from China claimed that this virus is spreading and it will soon cause a global pandemic? Did we stop? Did we step to change? We can think of utopian world. We can think of utopian world where everything will change, where educational system will change. I am thinking this will happen, and ministers and they will change. But that's a utopia. It doesn't happen that way practically. We need wars to change. We need self. We need some self transformation to change, or we need some war or pandemic, or we need a large amount of people to die to change. This is the practical way of seeing the geopolitics. Similarly, whatever change is happening, whatever reformation that is happening, it is done by some people, and those people are regulated by their mindsets. It is called what was that word? The global consciousness mindset, isn't it? It take a lot of people, the mindset of a majority people, to change something, to bring some change. And this is something that I want to shed some light upon, to change the global mindset from this deterioration to the way of existentialism, to the path of sadachar that Dada was speaking about. We need certain other set of practices. We need some, like using the sanitizer. Did we have any choice? Do we have any choice? There is no choice. Then if I cry for the democracy, that I need some a vote, that I don't, it is my freedom of whatever, freedom of speech or whatever, freedom of right to life, that I don't want to use this company's sanitizer because I already have another company's sanitizer. I cannot do that. If I enter to a mall, then I have to use the sanitizer that mall is providing, because that is the existential principle to live by. Similarly, in our life, to bring actual change, to bring the practical change, we need some kind of mindset. And mindset comes from a mind, comes from a person who is the ideal of that ideology, who will order us to change. For making our biceps, for making our triceps, we have to listen to the trainer. And similarly, for creating that kind of social development, creating that kind of personal transformation, we have to listen to the ideal, who is the leader of the present day, who is the lead mindset of the present day, who has the practical examples of those way of well-being. Rahul Da questioned that we had the custom of doing pranam in this way or that way, but if people had the knowledge, had the acquaintance with the modern day philosopher, the modern day ideal of the age, then this question would not have come. Rahul Da knew the answer, but he questioned this for the people, for the mass. We are accustomed to an ideal, and through that ideal we are adjusted according to the age. Not everything in the past were correct for any country, not everything in the past were wrong. This is the difference between modernity and updation. Modernity means just simply blindly following the trend, and updation means up to date. Up to date means taking good from the past and taking good from the present and manipulating them into the goodwill of the present day. And this is not something that every one of us can do. This is done by the ideal who has the far-sighted view, who can see beyond the repercussions. And I would like to end this, end my talk with a verse from Sri Thakur's Magna Dicta. He said, "Where surrender is the essential life tenor of dharma, uphold of existence, renunciation of passionate curve and passionate crave, and adherence and service to the ideal are the normal tenor and tune. Can it be a democratic form? God is ever autocratic. Dharma, providence, the law of life and becoming is ever autocratic. Prophets are ever autocratic. Will to achieve should ever surrender to it." So we are not surrendering our rationale. We are not surrendering our brain. At first, we are using and we are allowing the ideal to make us understand the principles of well-being. I think that should follow, and I think I'm giving this to Rohanda. I don't know if I could make it clear. I would like Rohanda to continue. Thank you.
Thank you, Shavik, for your discussion. I think it is very clear. It could have been more brief, but it's very well said. So I think we should stick to topic because it's better for us to and people who are watching to understand. We're discussing like it came around if we talk about hygiene thing. Okay, and then a very important factor is also the mental hygiene, as you said that mental change is needed in thought process. So mental hygiene भी एक बहुत ही जरूरी चीज है to follow actually. Okay, so Shashi Thakur said in I was reading once in Alochana Prasange, and I will read the translated version, that the practice of truthful speaking truth, wishing well-being of others, is mental hygiene and nothing else. Why now? Why is this important? Is zaruri kyun hai mental hygiene? And this pandemic, when we are already surrounded by a lot of negativity and wherein we are now facing a lot of difficulty, it is very important that we train this thing because this is the supreme thing. And to train that, we should actually go to a person with such mentality, and that's exactly what Shavik has been saying. Shashi Thakur said that even if distorted thinking occasionally comes in mind, that does not mean everything is gone. Okay, still we should try. We should not actually stop trying. Unrepelling attachment to the Lord can wipe it out. So that's where the main, what I will say, the trick is to create an attachment to such a concentric and such a conscious ideal who will actually help us in understanding how to get such mentality and how to actually inculcate such practices, whatever we have been talking about. Nahi to, we don't have a clear path, we don't have a clear, the road is not clear, and we don't know how to actually go ahead with that. And mental hygiene is not just about discarding the negatives, but also recycling the negatives in order to yield positive results out of it. So seeking positivity of whatever we are like facing, how can we actually think of ideas, generate ideas? As Satyabhadra was saying that he was giving example of Israel, that people there are first required to go to whatever he said. Things like that on minute level, we should actually try to focus on and try to generate ideas and get a proper mental aspect out of it. Contentment, calmness, sweet words, and balanced personality are some of the signs of healthy mental hygiene. So along with whatever we have discussed, it is also very important that in pandemic prevention and pandemic management, along with when we are sanitizing our hands, we are doing namaskaram, we are following all the things, we are getting vaccinated. But still, if we are not attached to such a focused and conscious ideal who will actually understand, who will actually make us understand on how to enhance and get positivity through our mental aspect, how to actually increase positivity and how to change our mentality for a better being and becoming, how to get that. It is not a complete circle that we are doing. It's like we are creating one small hole in a packet of water, and we need to fill that thing. And that is where the role of a concentric ideal and such a supreme master plays. So I think that was all that we had to discuss in this short duration of time. This is a very big topic, and to speak from the perspective of our master, to speak from the ideology of master, we need more time, and we should actually now start to do those in our life to understand the positivity and benefits of all those things. So that was all we had to say. I think we are good to conclude. Shovik and Sister Bhagat, if you have anything, I think we can actually go ahead and conclude. So yeah. So thank you for joining us. Thank you for joining Master Within Live Show. We will be back with our podcast on the coming Friday. We have already launched our podcast last Friday. Go ahead and check that out in YouTube. Check that out in all the audio platform like Spotify, Ghana, JioSaavn, Apple Music, and everywhere. Ask us questions to the comment section. Follow our website, and you will get more about such contents in masterwithin.org. Watch our videos in the YouTube that we already have. Keep in touch. Take care of your health. Take care of your loved ones. And I will see you very soon. Goodbye and Jai Guru.